From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News at 4:30 starts now.
Happening right now on Action 2 News at 4:30, multiple police agencies are now searching for a 17-year-old wanted in connection to yesterday's deadly Fox River Mall shooting. We have the latest information on the investigation and what the search looks like right now. Plus, how did thousands of vaccine appointments be mistakenly scheduled in the Fox Valley? We're asking that question, and we will explain where those affected go on from here. And Packers GM Brian Gutekunst and head coach Matt LaFleur help clear up some of the uncertainties swirling around the league about Aaron Rodgers' future in Green Bay. Well, good afternoon. Welcome into Action 2 News at 4:30. We have new information on yesterday's deadly shooting at the Fox River Mall as continues come into our newsroom. And today at 4:30, we're going to continue our coverage, team coverage now, with the latest on the investigation with Action 2 News reporters Emily Matesic and Sarah Thompson. So let's get you caught up. As we first alerted you yesterday, police were called to the Fox River Mall in Grand Chute at 3:30 in the afternoon for a report of shots being fired in the mall's main corridor. Police say 2 people were shot. One suffered minor injuries. The other, identified as a 19-year-old male, died after being taken to the hospital. Police report this was a targeted incident, and right now they are looking for this 17-year-old, Desmond Ellis. He is considered to be armed and dangerous. Well, our Emily Matesic has been covering this major story since yesterday. Now, you witnessed a number of arrests today in Oshkosh. So, Emily, let's first start with you and get us caught up on the very latest.
Okay, so the mall, well, we'll start here where I am with the mall. The mall is basically closed today except for stores that had exterior entrances. We met with Grand Chute Police for sort of an update this morning. They didn't have much to release in addition to what they put out yesterday or late last night, that this was a targeted attack. They were looking for that suspect. So we caught wind that they had found the car in Oshkosh, down on 20th Avenue in Oshkosh, in a driveway. That blue Dodge Avenger was parked in that driveway at 7:30 this morning. Oshkosh Police got a citizen's tip. They went over there, they identified the car. They then went inside the home to speak with people at the residence. There were 4 people while we were there this morning, late this morning, just around 11 o'clock. They pulled 4 people out of the home, 3 women, 1 teenage boy. 2 of the women were kicking and screaming. We know that they took those 4 people into custody, arrested them for disorderly conduct as well as for resisting. Now, we don't know their connection. Police have not released any sort of information on how those 4 people are connected to the suspect in this case. He was not in the home, just the car was there, so the search for him continues tonight.
All right, Emily, we are seeing that video, too, as you spoke about all those people being pulled out of the home. We want to bring in Sarah Thompson, our award-winning First Alert investigator, your numerous contacts with law enforcement sources. So you heard what Emily said, Sarah, and this search now continues. Based on what you know about these types of searches, what do you think is happening now?
Law enforcement officer across Northeast Wisconsin is on the lookout for this guy right now. They don't know exactly, at least they're not telling us, where he might be. And that's really the key, is they are looking everywhere for him. They have that car, as Emily was just talking about, there located now. So then the question becomes, what's his mode of transportation? Is he mobile? Is he going anywhere? Could he be with someone else? So you can bet that they're going through every possible connection, contact that they can find, tracking down family, friends, anyone in the area, trying to check and see if he might be with them, or, you know, does he have any other acquaintances that might be outside of Oshkosh or Appleton? I mean, that's where all the eyes are right now, but that doesn't mean that's where he is. He could be anywhere, really. And so the investigation is very broad right now. And really, I mean, when I talked with law enforcement up here in Brown County today, they're saying, you know, we keep an eye out for him too. It's just something that they're doing. Everybody kind of on the lookout for him right now.
So, Emily, multiple agencies like Sarah talked about, you knew that already. We saw that yesterday. What about state resources? When do they become involved if they aren't already?
Yeah, well, they were last night. State Patrol was out here helping out. We know that the DOJ, Division of Criminal Investigations, we call them the DCI investigators, they were out here. They're involved. Grand Chute Police told us that federal investigators were involved. And I know Sarah kind of touched on how they're, reaching out to all of the contacts of Desmond Ellis to try to find him. But I should say that, thinking about it as the day has been going on, where that car was found was directly across the street from a Quick Trip. So one would assume that the police have gone into that Quick Trip, have asked for their surveillance camera, their security video to see what happened once that car pulled in the driveway, who got out of it and where did they go. So really lots of eyes in different entities all across Northeast Wisconsin, the state, and even federally are looking for him.
And Emily, that brings up another good point too. When you're talking about those cameras across the street at Quick Trip, they're looking at cameras and video from all over the place. You're talking about an incident happening inside a mall where there are hundreds of people, and who doesn't have a cell phone out right now? You're running obviously for cover, but you can guarantee there are people with video and pictures and things like that. They're going to be going through all of that as well, looking for information. Where did he go? Who might have been with him, if that's at all possible, if there was anyone else, just looking, what did people do, things like that. And then you're talking about that video, cameras out in the neighborhood of Quick Trip. A lot of people have, Ring doorbells or Nest cameras, things like that. They're going to be looking at those kind of things too, all throughout that area. That's a big part of what they do. They rely so much on cell phones and those kind of cameras.
Well, Sarah, let me finish with you because I know.
Right, and they're not going to.
Well, go ahead, Emily.
Well, they're not going to put all their cards on the table. Obviously, investigators know a lot more than they're sharing with us, but they want to continue to get his picture out there, get his name out there in hopes that somebody saw something or has something on one of those cameras to share with authorities.
All right, and real quick, Sarah, coming up at 5, you spoke with an eyewitness to the event that also received some training that paid off. What can we look forward to at 5 o'clock?
And this is not someone that's in law enforcement that had any sort of training. This is someone in a local business who went through some active shooter training, and she said that really kicked in when she heard those gunshots going off. So she has a pretty remarkable story to tell, and really encouraging other people, if they get the chance to find a way in some way to have some sort of training like that, so you know what to do if you find yourself in a situation where you're at the mall on a Sunday afternoon and something like this happens.
All right, Sarah, thank you. Emily, thank you. Much more on all this coming up on Action 2 News at 5, and we'll continue to alert you to any new developments on air, online, and of course on our First Alert app. Well, coming up next, we'll have your headlines of the day. Plus, we're investigating how thousands of people were mistakenly scheduled to receive a COVID-19 vaccine in the Fox Valley. Plus, a breakdown of what the Packers Brain Trust was saying today about Aaron Rodgers' future in Green Bay.
You're watching Action 2 News at 4:30 with Chris Roth, your First Alert station.
Welcome back. Turning now to your headlines of the day. President Joe Biden is meeting with 10 Republican senators who have introduced a $618 billion coronavirus aid bill. Now, this is about 1/3 of the $1.9 trillion relief package President Biden is looking for. The Republican proposal is centered on health issues rather than the pandemic's economic toll, and includes $1,000 direct payments to fewer households than the $1,400 the president has proposed. Saved by the Bell actor Dustin Diamond died today after a 3-week fight with carcinoma. Diamond, who lived in Port Washington for a decade, was hospitalized last month. He was best known for playing the character Screech on the 90s sitcom. Diamond was 44 years old. The northeastern part of the country being hit by a major nor'easter right now. Some areas receiving nearly 2 feet of snow and several more inches expected, including up to 2 feet in New York City. States from Georgia to Maine bracing for this storm. Some states could see wind speeds up to 60 miles per hour, creating concerns for coastal flooding. Well, last Monday was filled with questions after Aaron Rodgers' post-NFC Championship game news conference, where he emphasized the unknowns going into the offseason. Then came back a day later saying he didn't think there was any reason he would not be back. So can we finally put this story to rest? What head coach Matt LaFleur and GM Brian Gutekunst are saying, that's coming up. Plus, how did 4,700 accidental vaccine appointments be made in the Fox Valley? The answer is next. And in weather. Welcome back. We want to bring you now a First Alert update regarding those thousands of accidental vaccine appointments that were made in the Fox Valley. As we first reported on Friday, an online system for the Fox City's COVID-19 vaccination clinic filled all 1,000 available slots for this week's clinic in just 15 minutes. However, an error occurred and 4,700 extra appointments were then made. Today, we are seeking answers, and we think we have some to see how this could happen. Brittany Schmidt has been covering this for us throughout. So, Brittany, what did we learn from health officials today? What do they think went wrong down there?
Sure. So I talked to Natalie Vandevald, who is with the Outagamie County Health and Human Services Department, and she basically said it was a computer glitch, and they realized very quickly after making the website go live that there was an issue, and so they got the first 1,000 right away, and then they realized that they got an additional 4,700 more applications, more registrations than expected, so they shut it down as soon as they could. So just a computer glitch.
So what happens now then, Brittany, with these 5,700 people that registered when only 1,000 will be getting a vaccine this week?
Sure. So they sent out 2 emails. So if you registered, you should have gotten an email. One email went to the first 1,000 people who registered, and they were able to tell because of a timestamp that was on there. So that group of people should have gotten an email, and then this weekend they should have gotten a phone call from an official confirming their time and date for their vaccination this week. The other group of people, 4,700 who were overbooked, should have also gotten an email, and that email basically said you've been put on a wait list, and Outagamie County, they will contact you and give you an opportunity to get vaccinated for future clinics. So an email should have gone out to everybody. It was not a scam. You were supposed to get that email.
Okay, so we know that starting tomorrow, these 1,000 people that are eligible will be receiving them. So who should show up? Which of these 1,000 people? There's something very important here, right?
Right. If you got a phone call this weekend, you should show up because that phone call should have helped confirm your time and your date for going. It starts tomorrow. So if you got a phone call, you are supposed to show up. If you did not get a phone call, do not go. You are not registered. You do not have an appointment. You will be contacted at a further date because then you were on a waiting list. So phone call, go. No phone call, don't go.
Sounds very clear. Thank you, Brittany. She'll have much more on this coming up on Action 2 News at 5.
What we're trying to do as an organization and what we're trying to accomplish here, we can't do without Aaron Rodgers right now. So he's such a part of what we've done. He's such a part of what we're doing right now and certainly in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. He will be here for a long time. I know I said that before, but for a long time.
Okay, that was Packers head coach Matt LaFleur and GM Brian Gutekunst this morning in their separate meetings with reporters. Action 2 Sports reporter Bailey Burmaster joining us in studio to kind of sift through all this. It doesn't seem to be that there is much gray area anymore with Aaron Rodgers' future.
There is no more gray area whatsoever, Chris. In fact, head coach Matt LaFleur and general manager Brian Gutekunst were very much on the same page, making it very clear Rodgers is coming back in 2021 and beyond that. And Goody even doubled down on saying there is no plan to trade him. The LA Times had an NFL writer that came out and said that the Rams actually made a go at Rodgers, and Goody came straight out and said that report was false.
Okay, and I thought it was very interesting. Goody made it very clear Matt LaFleur went first today, and Goody made it very clear he was listening, and they are in lockstep on this. But so here's the thing, Brittany, I knew I was going to do this, but Brittany and Bailey in the same block, it was going to happen all day. All right, in the NFL, words are very nice, but money talks a whole lot more. So what do you think happens now? Are these words, we want them here, but we know he doesn't have any guaranteed money left on his deal?
Yeah, Goody kind of insinuated that when it comes to the team in the cap space, they're going to push money into the future to stay competitive. Rodgers is under contract until 2023. There's no more guaranteed money on his contract. So there was no clarity on whether they were going to reconstruct his deal. But if they were here in the future, they would reconstruct it so Rodgers gets more guaranteed money, and that would help provide the team with more cap space.
And again, teams all over the league are going to be looking for cap space because right now it is projected to drop perhaps as much as $25 million. Real quick, we know now that they are looking for a defensive coordinator. What did we learn about that search and maybe what he's looking for in Matt LaFleur?
It seemed like LaFleur was just ready for new leadership at that position, and someone point blank asked him, what are you looking for in a defensive coordinator? And he said, well, I'm not going to give the answers to the test because
I thought that was a great answer.
That was a great answer because you don't want to just put it out there and then you go in the interview and say, oh, well, I'm a great leader, I'm aggressive.
Everybody tells you what you want to hear.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think they're just ready for new leadership, but Goody said they have the players who are just versatile and can adapt. So it will be interesting to see who they go with.
Yeah, whatever that system turns out to be under the new coordinator. All right, Bailey, thank you very much. Action 2 News at 5 is coming up in just a couple of minutes. Cami Rapson joining us now live in the newsroom with the preview. Hi, Cami.
Hey, Chris, we are hearing from a woman who was inside the Fox River Mall during yesterday's shooting. She says she knew exactly how to stay safe because of active shooting training that she received at work. Anna Duchateau describes what she and other people with her did right after they heard those gunshots and the plan they made to escape. And coming up only on Action 2 News, why experts in active shooter training say she made the right moves and how they can be applied to other situations. Chris?
All right, Cammie, thanks. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Let's turn to weather now. We have entered the month of February. It is here. We are looking ahead to what we can expect.
Yeah, winter has not felt like winter for most of the season, and we're going to be getting a big change, a big dose of reality later this week. Now, we have a few mild days to go, a few dry days here, but getting into the Thursday, Friday time frame, accumulating snow becomes more likely, and that's what we're talking about off the bat here. In a normal February, between rain and melted snow, you'd be looking at a little over an inch, and that usually adds up to just under 10 inches of snowfall. But, of course, we can get more than that, and the snowiest February, a little over 30 inches, but all the way back
They're
in 1890.
getting that today and tomorrow out on the East Coast.
Yes, and I don't think we're looking at significant totals like that, but I do feel like later this week, probably getting more than that 1 inch, so I think that'll be safe.
Really, this
in
week?
that we've only had 1 year in our 135-year history in Green Bay with less than an inch of snow in February. I think we'll best that later on this week. We'll take our split screen look here.
Okay.
The biggest difference in these two computer models, the American GFS here on the right, European on the left, yesterday the GFS was much farther to the north and it brought in a lot of rain and mix. You'll notice though, those low pressures, the low center on the Euro and the GFS, very similar now.
That's kind of the sweet spot right there, right? Is
Exactly.
that about 150 miles northwest, right?
Yeah,
That's
100
what
to
you always
150 miles, yes.
Yeah.
Northwest of that low is typically where the heaviest snow falls, and that swath would cut right through central and northeastern Wisconsin. Now, obviously, we're a few days away here, so things can change, but those two models are in much better agreement, and something else that you don't typically see when we're 72, 96 hours out is pretty good agreement on how much snow would fall. Now, I'll emphasize this is just a first look, kind of where guidance is right now. This is certainly not locked in and set in stone, but the computer models have been pretty consistent with around 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain and liquid equivalent. So if all of that comes in as snow, which is starting to look that way, it puts you in that 4 to 7, 4 to 8 inch range. And computer guidance here, these are 3 different models kind of averaged together, and you see a lot of us in that 4 to 7, 3 to 7 inch range. So this definitely looks like something that we'll have to push out of the way.
So you started talking last night too about what's on the back. Like you're going to start turning down the thermometer here pretty quickly. When does that take place, and how does that affect any of this, if at all?
Well, anytime you get fresh snow on the ground, you certainly have the potential for colder temperatures. We'll go ahead and skip ahead a little bit here and get into the temperature outlook here for February. This is going into the second week of the month, and notice well below average across northeastern Wisconsin, and this is what we're talking about. Mild
there it is.
Today, tomorrow, through Thursday, low to mid-30s. Average high this time of year is 25, but yeah, pretty sharp drop as we get into the weekend there, and we're talking about, these are your straight high temperatures, single digits to around 10. Lows will be below 0 if everything comes in as forecast right now with that Arctic air. And it's also going to be quite blustery into the weekend as well. So you're talking about some dangerously harsh wind chills.
Especially if those are your highs. So.
Yeah, and there, I will say the Sunday forecast in particular, that American GFS has the high on Sunday around 10 below 0. Now, I think that's a cold outlier, but there is some guidance down in that low temperature, minus 20 range, high temperature staying below 0. So definitely be watching this weekend very closely for that cold air.
Okay, hot bowl of chili to watch the Super Bowl on Sunday. Thank you, David. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Still to come at 4:30. Another snow day. Oh, you need to see.
First Alert Weather with meteorologist David Ernst. Sponsored by Tundraland. Beautiful decks, replacement windows, bath remodeling, built with American pride.
Well, here's another snow day. You need to see the giant pandas at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C. Oh, look at that. Loving the snow that's hitting the area right now. Staff recording the pandas rolling around, doing somersaults, even sledding down hills on their backs. Giant pandas, of course, native to central China. They've become a symbol for vulnerable species. The National Zoo is a world leader in giant panda conservation and works closely with experts in China to advance conservation efforts. Well, that is our report tonight on Action 2 News at 4:30. Thanks for joining us. Action 2 News at 5 starts right now.